as someone that's been in a position to hire many people, what are the most important attributes that we could recommend to Spears students to have when going into the marketplace?
Probably two things. I tend to always look at disciplines that required a little more work than others in terms of academic studies, because I felt if somebody came through a major or discipline that required hard work, you first of all had a little bit of test to see, is this an individual who's willing to put forth the effort that is required to succeed? And then the other big component is to be able to communicate. People who can look you in the eye, people who can form their great thoughts into coherent sentences, and people who aren't afraid to stand up and speak, ask questions, dialogue back and forth. Communications is a very, very big part of it.
If we were to use traditional titles from the academic community, marketing, management, accounting, finance, entrepreneurship, information systems, what one or two of those has been most critical to your success?
I think they're all of value. I think I was a finance major, which I felt at that time was probably the second most difficult degree in the business school in terms of just having to spend time and effort and energy to learn the curriculum. I think by far the most difficult is the accounting degree, because again, there's just a lot of material that you have to take on, come to understand, come to apply. In the later years, when I was recruiting young people to come to work in the various companies, I often tended to look at those curriculums that I thought were the most difficult to get through, that required the most personal discipline to get through. And I actually tried to identify that more than I did develop too much concern about which individual degree a young person might have. Because what I was really looking for was somebody who had shown that they were willing to do the hard work, had the stick-to-itiveness to stay with it, to get through those curriculums that I'm not sure you have to be any smarter to get through, but I think they require a few more hours in the day for you to get through.
What's the most significant hurdle for a new manager at any level when starting a new company or starting with a new company?
There's an awful lot to assimilate. And one of the things that I think doesn't always get mentioned a lot, I think there is a certain endurance part of it. At least there was for me, speaking very honestly, that I worked hard in school and made reasonably good grades and participated in other activities. But I have to say I wasn't completely used to spending 8 or 10 hours a day focused on one thing. And I think that's one of the big changes, and I would see that in young people coming into our organizations later in my life. But sometimes just the idea that coming to work and staying focused on it for 8 to 10 hours straight with very little break is kind of new to them and takes a little getting used to. Other than that, I think it's just the people. And if it's a larger company, it's just the size of the company, the number of people, learning who to go to get what information, understanding where to go to learn certain things. There is an assimilation process that takes place. And as you do that, as they become assimilated, they become more and more efficient and more effective. But it takes a little work up front. I think for most anyone, that first year on the job is a pretty good exercise for you, but you learn an awful lot along the way too.